Dude.
Slate disaster 2011.
Deuteronomy.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to today's Rowdy.com Big 3, where we cover the big stories or the things that we're interested in. We talk NASCAR. My name is Bass Masters. This is Buzz Cutler. And Cutler, today is our typical quote edition Big 3 midweek.
Hey, there's nothing typical about our quote edition.
It's pretty typical.
Oh, well, never mind then. First quote is from your race winner, Carl Edwards, in which he compares where he was after his 2008 Las Vegas win. Remember, 2008 is when he sort of had a very dominant season.
Yeah, 9 wins.
Compared to where he is now. Let's listen, shall we?
And it's something Jack and I have talked a lot about over the years. You know, there's definitely a process to becoming the best you can be at this level because all the guys are so savvy. So I feel like I'm in a better position now than I was 3 years ago to get all the points we can and all the wins we can this year.
That's called I'm going to use my head. I'm going to use my head. I'm going to be smart. We saw it already at Phoenix when he didn't get into a little tussle with Kyle Busch, right? And I think Carl Edwards is much better positioned today to be a championship contender than he was in 2009 because he knows every point's going to count, especially when you get to the chase and you're trying to duke it out with Jimmy Johnson. So, yes, the wins are good, but he's going to be consistent. That's what's going to make him a championship contender.
Bass.
What?
Our little boy is growing up. It's called maturation. We've said time and time again, before you can win a championship, you have to lose a championship. We said it about Denny Hamlin this past season. Carl Edwards lost the 2008 championship. He was the dominant driver that year and had nothing to show for it come Homestead. So he lost that championship, which puts him in a better position to win this year's.
Next quote.
Quote number 2 from Everybody's All-American. Once again, we're not afraid to pander here at Rowdy.com. Let's listen to Dale Earnhardt Jr., shall we?
Failure at this point is completely unacceptable. I got to put it all out on the line, do everything I can to make this work, because if it don't work with him, I got nowhere else to go.
I think, Junior's kind of sensing what we all sense, which is he's running out of moves. They're running out of moves on the checkerboard over there at Hendrick Motorsports. But what I've seen out of Junior, and I'm going to talk about this a little later in a V-blog, I think he finally has the right combination to be successful over there. And if you look at some of the stats from this year, you look at the performance, you look at the way he's run, I know it's only 3 races, but a lot is determined in 3 races. 75% of the chase last year was set after 3 races.
And
if I'm a Junior fan, I'm extremely encouraged by that.
How is this different from what you said last year at this time?
It's a different year.
Here's the thing that I couldn't help thinking about when I listened to this quote from Junior. It's pretty much exactly what he said when he first came over to Hendrick Motorsports, when he said, I'm out of excuses now if I don't succeed here. Well, it's how many years later, Junior? So, not to say things aren't looking up, but it's the same story, just a different year. And let's be honest, Junior will always have another option because he's Dale Earnhardt Jr. and he's a cash cow. If it doesn't work at Hendrick, you think he won't be able to go to Childress or Penske or any of those other teams? Of course he will.
I think he's onto something. I really do.
All right. Issue number 3, or quote number 3, is from Juan Pablo Montoya. He had a great run on Sunday. We haven't really talked about him much, but let's listen to what he had to say.
I think the last 2-3 years I've been very comfortable with these cars, and it shows, when we can get the car working, it works really good. I think last year when they put the spoiler, from the wing to the spoiler, I think it really affected me and we really struggle.
Juan Pablo Montoya is never going to be the kinder, gentler driver, right? He's not going to be the guy that's so friendly to you out there on the track and always giving. I think we know what we're getting with Juan Pablo Montoya now. I think we understand who he is as a driver. I think he understands the race cars. He's a bona fide stock car driver now. He's not a guy that came over from F1 or open wheel. But if you are consistent and people know what they can expect from you, even if you're on the more aggressive side, I think that allows you to be more successful. If you're a wild card, I think it makes your life a lot harder.
What I find interesting about the quote is the other aspect of it, where he said the switch from the wing to the spoiler last season really threw him for a loop, because we said all along he's got the speed, he's just not getting the finishes. And maybe he didn't quite have the feel of the car after the switch to the spoiler. And they spent time in the offseason trying to make sure that didn't happen again with the new nose.
I just think what's more of a factor is Juan Pablo's mental approach. not trying to get too much, understanding how the system works. The way the system works is if you get a bad finish. I mean, Carl Edwards finished first and second in 2 of the first 3 races. He's not first in the points because he had 1 bad finish. Now, granted, it was not his fault, but you got to avoid the downside. And understanding that changes the kind of risks you take and how you interact with other drivers. And I think JP gets that now for sure.
All right, thanks for listening to our Wednesday Big Three, the quote edition. We've started to do this every week now, picking the quotes midweek. I think it's kind of cool.
I like it.
So we'll keep it up unless you tell us that you hate it, and you can tell us right down there. Leave a comment. Either agree with us, disagree with us, or just tell us how ruggedly handsome we are.
Rowdy.com. Say it like it is.
Say what like it is?
Rowdy.com.